What if the small moments you dismiss as just getting older were actually signals that your brain is asking for a different kind of daily exercise? You know the moments I mean. You are speaking to someone and a familiar word disappears. You walk into the kitchen and suddenly forget why you went there. You meet a person, hear their name clearly, and moments later the name seems to vanish as if it never entered your mind. For many adults over 60, these experiences are more than annoying. They can feel personal. They can feel like the beginning of losing control. And once that fear enters the mind, every small lapse becomes evidence. A misplaced key becomes a warning. A forgotten appointment becomes a threat. A blank moment in conversation becomes the question no one wants to ask out loud. Is my memory slipping away? Today, I want to give you a different way to look at this. Not denial, not false comfort, not a promise that one exercise can cure memory problems or prevent dementia, but a more hopeful and useful truth. The brain remains responsive to challenge, attention, movement, repetition, and learning throughout life. It may change with age, but it does not stop being trainable. I am Dr. Richard Kim, and in this video, I want to show you a simple 60-second brain activation routine designed for older adults who want to support focus, recall, coordination, and mental alertness. It requires no equipment, no supplement, no special app, and no complicated program. You can do it sitting in a chair. You can do it in the morning, before coffee, before reading the news, or before starting your day. But before I teach you the routine, I need you to understand why it matters. Because if you see this as a silly arm movement with a word game attached, you may try it once and forget it. If you understand what it is doing, you may realize that this 1 minute is not small at all. It is a daily signal to your brain that you are still asking it to engage, organize, search, coordinate, and respond. The brain is not a fixed object like a stone. It is more like a living network. Every time you learn, recall, speak, move, solve, plan, or pay attention, your brain uses pathways. Some pathways are strong because you use them often. Others weaken because they are neglected. This is why a skill you practiced for decades may feel natural, while a name you only heard once can disappear almost immediately. Use strengthens access. Neglect weakens access. Scientists call the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize neuroplasticity. That word sounds technical, but the idea is simple. Your brain can form new connections and strengthen existing ones when it is challenged in the right way. This does not mean every memory problem is harmless. It does not mean serious cognitive symptoms should be ignored. If memory changes are sudden, worsening, interfering with daily life, or accompanied by confusion, personality changes, difficulty managing money, getting lost, or trouble performing familiar tasks, you should speak with a qualified healthcare professional. But many people who fear their mind is finished are actually dealing with underused attention, stress, poor sleep, inactivity, low stimulation, anxiety, medication effects, hearing issues, or lifestyle patterns that can make recall feel weaker. And that is where daily brain training becomes useful. Think of your mind as a garden. A neglected garden does not become empty overnight. First, the paths grow messy. Then weeds hide the flowers. Then the plants that once bloomed easily need more care. But a garden can be tended. You clear a path, water the soil, bring light back in, and little by little the structure returns. Brain health works in a similar way. You do not rebuild a garden by staring at it with worry. You rebuild it by tending to it daily. The routine I am going to teach you combines 3 things: controlled breathing, gentle movement, and word retrieval. Each part matters. Breathing helps calm the stress system. Movement wakes up coordination and blood flow demand. Word retrieval asks the memory and language centers to search actively. When you combine them at the same time, you create what neurologists call a dual task challenge. The brain is not only moving, it is not only thinking, it is coordinating both. This matters because real life is full of dual tasks. You walk and talk. You cook and remember instructions. You listen while planning your response. You look for a word while staying in conversation. As we age, some people become less comfortable doing 2 things at once. That does not mean they are doomed. It means the ability needs careful practice, just like balance, strength, or flexibility. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Elias. He was 77, a retired mechanic, and he came to see me because his daughter was worried. Elias had always been sharp. He remembered engine parts, birthdays, neighbors' names, and stories from 40 years earlier. But recently, he had started pausing in the middle of sentences. He would forget the word for a tool he had used his whole life. He would turn on the television and lose track of what the news story was about. His family noticed that he laughed less in conversations, not because he had lost interest, but because he was working so hard to keep up. When I asked him how he felt, he shrugged and said, "Doctor, I'm old. This is what happens." But his eyes told a different story. He was embarrassed. He was frightened. And like many older adults, he had started protecting himself by participating less. Fewer phone calls, fewer conversations, less reading, more quiet sitting, less challenge for the brain. That is a dangerous pattern because the brain often weakens faster when people withdraw from the very activities that keep it active. I explained to Elias that we were not going to pretend his concerns did not matter. We would watch them carefully. We would review sleep, medications, hearing, mood, and medical history. But I also asked him for one experiment, 1 minute a day, every day, for 4 weeks. He looked at me almost offended. 1 minute, he said. I spent my life fixing machines. You think 1 minute fixes a brain? I said, no. 1 minute does not fix a brain. 1 minute starts a signal, and a signal repeated every day can change what the brain expects from itself. So I taught him the exercise I'm about to teach you. 4 weeks later, he did not come in claiming a miracle. That is important. Real medicine should not sound like magic. But his daughter said he was joining conversations again. He was reading short articles and summarizing them at dinner. He still forgot things sometimes, but he no longer froze with panic when a word disappeared. He had learned to pause, breathe, search, and continue. Elias told me, "The biggest change is not that I remember everything. It's that I feel like my brain is waking up before I give up on it. That is the goal." Let me add one more important point before we continue, because it explains why this exercise feels small but can be meaningful. Many people think memory is only about storage, as if the brain is a cabinet with files inside. But a large part of memory is access. The information may be there, but the path to reach it may be slow, crowded, or blocked by stress. When you practice naming words while moving and breathing, you are practicing access. You are teaching the brain to search without panic. This is especially useful because panic is one of the fastest ways to make memory worse in the moment. You forget a name, then you become embarrassed. The embarrassment creates pressure. The pressure creates stress. The stress narrows attention. Suddenly, the name that might have returned in 10 seconds disappears completely. Later, when you stop trying, it pops back into your mind. That does not always mean the memory was gone. Often it means the retrieval system was overloaded. The routine helps train a calmer retrieval response. You learn to keep breathing while searching. You learn that a pause is not failure. You learn that your mind can continue working without collapsing into fear. For older adults, that emotional confidence is not a small benefit. Confidence keeps people engaged. Engagement keeps the brain active. This is why I want you to treat the exercise like brushing your teeth for the brain. You do not brush your teeth one time and expect permanent protection. You repeat it because maintenance matters. Brain maintenance works the same way. 1 minute today is not the whole solution. 1 minute repeated becomes a pattern. Patterns shape the brain more than occasional bursts of motivation. You can also use this exercise as a quick mental warm-up before tasks that require focus. Before paying bills, before making a phone call, before reading, before a doctor appointment, or before writing a grocery list, take 1 minute to activate attention. The point is not to become perfect. The point is to arrive mentally present. Now let us do the routine. You only need a stable chair and 1 focused minute. If you have shoulder pain, recent surgery, dizziness, severe balance issues, or any condition that makes arm movement uncomfortable, keep the movement smaller or speak with your healthcare professional first. This should feel gentle, not painful. Do not force the arms high. Do not hold your breath. Do not rush. Sit near the front half of your chair, but stay stable. Place both feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Let your spine grow tall without becoming stiff. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Rest your hands on your thighs. Take 1 slow breath in through your nose if you can, and exhale slowly through your mouth. If nasal breathing is difficult, Breathe comfortably in the way that works for you. The routine has two phases. Phase 1 lasts 30 seconds. This is the activation phase. You will move one arm at a time while breathing slowly. Raise your right arm forward only as high as comfortable, maybe to chest level or shoulder level. As the arm rises, inhale slowly. Then lower the arm back to your thigh while exhaling slowly. Now do the same with the left arm. Raise the left arm while inhaling. Lower it while exhaling. Continue alternating right, then left, then left. The key is control. Do not swing, do not jerk, do not race. Imagine your movement is smooth enough that a glass of water balanced on your wrist would not spill. This slow rhythm gives your brain a clean coordination task. It links breath, movement, attention, and body awareness. If your shoulders are stiff, lift only a few inches. The height is not the point. The coordination is the point. For the first 30 seconds, focus only on the movement and breathing. Your mind will wander. Bring it back. Right arm, inhale. Right arm down, exhale. Left arm, inhale. Left arm down, exhale. The brain benefits from this kind of directed attention because attention is like a spotlight. Wherever it shines consistently, the brain sends more processing power. Now phase 2 begins. Continue the same arm movement and breathing, but add a mental task. Choose a category and name items from that category out loud or silently. Start with something easy, such as fruits. Right arm rises, apple. Right arm lowers, breathe. Left arm rises, banana. Left arm lowers, breathe. Continue. Orange, pear, grape, peach, plum, mango, melon, cherry. If you get stuck, do not panic. Getting stuck is part of the exercise. The moment your brain searches for the next word, it is working. If nothing comes, take one breath and keep the movement going. Then choose another word. The goal is not speed. The goal is active retrieval while maintaining calm coordination. After 60 seconds, stop. Rest both hands on your thighs. Take one normal breath. Notice how you feel. Maybe nothing dramatic happens. That is fine. The benefit is not measured by fireworks. It is measured by daily repetition. Now let us discuss why this combination is powerful. The movement activates motor planning and coordination networks. The breathing helps regulate arousal and keeps you from turning the exercise into stress. The category naming activates language, memory, attention, and search pathways. Doing them together asks the brain to communicate across systems. It is like asking different sections of an orchestra to play together. At first, they may not be perfectly synchronized. With practice, the timing improves. This is also why the exercise should feel slightly challenging. If it feels impossibly difficult, simplify it. If it feels too easy, progress it. The sweet spot is mild effort. That is where learning often happens. Here is how to progress over 4 weeks. In week 1, use simple categories. Fruits one day, animals the next, household items, clothing, colors, vegetables, family names, or things you can find in a kitchen. Keep it easy enough that you build confidence. Confidence matters because fear blocks attention. A frightened brain spends energy defending itself instead of learning. In week 2, use letters. Pick one letter and name words that begin with it. For example, if the letter is B, you might say bread, bottle, basket, bridge, bird, button. If you choose M, you might say music, mirror, market, mountain, memory. You do not need perfect answers. You need searching. In week 3, use numbers. Try counting backward from 50 by 2s or from 100 by 3s if that is safe and not frustrating. If you lose your place, pause, breathe, and restart from the last number you remember. Do not scold yourself. Self-criticism does not improve memory. Calm correction does. In week 4, combine categories with memory. Name cities you have visited. Name people from your childhood. Name foods you ate growing up. Name tools, flowers, songs, books, streets, or places from your life. This version is especially valuable because it links language with personal memory. It can bring old pathways back into use. Now let me give you 3 common mistakes. The first mistake is rushing. People think faster means better. For this exercise, faster often means sloppier. When you rush, your breathing becomes shallow, your shoulders tense, and your attention scatters. Slow is not weakness. Slow is precision. A controlled brain exercise is better than a frantic one. The second mistake is inconsistency. Doing the exercise once and expecting a major change is like watering a garden once and expecting a harvest. The brain responds to repetition. Attach the routine to an existing habit. After brushing your teeth, before breakfast, before your morning walk, before your first cup of coffee. The exact time matters less than the consistency. The third mistake is distraction. Do not do this while the television is talking, while scrolling a phone, or while having a conversation. This 1 minute is an appointment with your brain. Protect it. Your attention is the tool that shapes the exercise. There are also small ways to improve the effect. Drink a small glass of water beforehand if you are allowed fluids normally and your doctor has not restricted you. Dehydration can make thinking feel slower in some people. You do not need to drink a huge amount. Just support your body. Use a gentle smile before you begin. This may sound strange, but facial expression and mood are connected. A soft smile can help shift your nervous system away from tension. You are not pretending everything is perfect. You are telling your brain, this is safe. We can practice. Teach the exercise to someone else. When you explain a routine, your brain organizes it more clearly. Teaching strengthens your own learning. It also creates accountability. A spouse, sibling, neighbor, or friend can do the routine with you. Brain health is easier to maintain when it becomes social. Now, a necessary medical caution. If your memory problems are progressing quickly, if family members are worried about your safety, if you are missing bills, forgetting medications, getting lost, repeating questions many times, or struggling with familiar tasks, do not rely on brain exercises alone. Make an appointment with a healthcare professional. Memory changes can have many causes, including medication side effects, thyroid problems, vitamin deficiencies, depression, anxiety, sleep apnea, hearing loss, infections, strokes, or neurodegenerative disease. Some causes are treatable, and early evaluation matters. This exercise is not meant to diagnose you. It is not a dementia cure. It is not a guarantee. It is a daily brain engagement practice. Think of it as one healthy habit alongside sleep, movement, social connection, medical care, hearing support, balanced nutrition, and managing blood pressure, diabetes, and other risk factors. Now let us return to the emotional side because this is where many people suffer quietly. Forgetting a word does not only interrupt a sentence, it can interrupt confidence. You begin to wonder whether people notice. You laugh it off, but inside you feel embarrassed. You may start speaking less. You may avoid telling stories because you fear losing your place. You may stop reading because rereading the same paragraph feels discouraging. Slowly, your world can shrink. I want you to resist that shrinkage. The answer to memory fear is not withdrawal. The answer is gentle, repeated re-engagement. Speak, read, move, learn, ask questions, play word games, walk if you are able, call someone, tell stories, write down memories, use calendars and notes without shame. Tools are not failure. Tools are support. Glasses support vision. Hearing aids support hearing. Notes support memory. Exercise supports the brain. And 1 minute a day can become the doorway into all of that. Let me show you how your first week could look. Day 1, fruits. Day 2, animals. Day 3, things in your kitchen. Day 4, names of people you know. Day 5, cities or states. Day 6, vegetables. Day 7, favorite songs or singers. Each day, do 30 seconds of breathing with arm movement, then 30 seconds of movement plus naming. If one category feels too hard, choose an easier one. If a word gets stuck, breathe and continue. Do not judge the exercise by whether you perform perfectly. Judge it by whether you showed up. At the end of 7 days, ask yourself 4 questions. Did I do it daily? Did I feel more comfortable by the end of the week? Was I less afraid when a word did not come immediately? Did I notice any moment of clearer focus? The change may be small. Small is still meaningful. The brain often changes quietly before you notice it loudly. After 4 weeks, you may find that the routine becomes part of your identity. Not because it is dramatic, but because it is a daily vote for your independence. Every repetition says, my mind matters. I am still participating in my own brain health. That message is powerful. I also want you to understand that memory is not stored in one little box inside the head. Memory depends on attention, sleep, mood, hearing, vision, movement, blood flow, language, and emotional context. If you are distracted when someone says their name, the memory may never be stored properly. If you are anxious, your brain may focus on fear instead of information. If you sleep poorly, recall can suffer. If you cannot hear clearly, you may think you forgot when you never fully received the information in the first place. So when you practice this routine, you are not only practicing words, you are practicing attention. You are practicing calm. You are practicing the habit of bringing your mind back to the present task. That is why it can feel surprisingly useful. One more thing matters. Protect your hearing, your sleep, and your social life. These are not separate from memory. If you cannot hear a conversation clearly, your brain must spend extra energy decoding sounds instead of storing meaning. If you sleep poorly, your attention and recall can feel weaker the next day. If you isolate yourself, the brain loses the natural practice that conversation provides. So use this 60-second routine as a doorway, not a cage. Let it lead you back into more reading, more conversation, more movement, and more curiosity. Curiosity is medicine for attention. Ask one new question each day. Learn one new word. Recall one old story and tell it to someone. Write down one memory from your childhood. These small acts invite the brain to participate in life instead of retreating from it. If you have a caregiver, invite them to watch quietly rather than correcting every word. Support is helpful, pressure is not. The brain learns better in safety than in embarrassment. A calm partner can turn the routine from a test into a shared habit. Now let us do a final rehearsal together. Sit tall, feet flat, hands on thighs, shoulders relaxed. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out slowly. Raise the right arm gently as you inhale. Lower it as you exhale. Raise the left arm gently as you inhale. Lower it as you exhale. Keep going. Smooth, slow, steady. Now add a category. Let us choose animals. Right arm rises, dog, lower and breathe. Left arm rises, cat, lower and breathe. Bird, horse, rabbit, lion, turtle, elephant, fish, deer. If you pause, that is all right. Search calmly, continue the movement, keep breathing, and stop. That was 1 minute, not perfect, not fancy, but meaningful. You just asked your brain to coordinate movement, breathing, attention, language, and memory. That is a real task. And tomorrow you can ask again. Before we finish, I want to leave you with this. You are not powerless because you are older. Aging changes the brain, yes, but change is not the same as defeat. Your brain still responds to use. It still responds to care. It still responds to challenge. It still responds to the way you sleep, move, connect, eat, breathe, and think. Do not wait until fear becomes bigger than action. Start with 1 minute. Start in your chair. Start with fruits, animals, names, numbers, or memories from your own life. Let the exercise be simple enough to begin and challenging enough to matter. Then come back after 1 week and notice what changed. Maybe your memory feels the same, but your confidence is better. Maybe you remember a name faster. Maybe you feel more awake in the morning. Maybe you simply feel proud that you kept a promise to yourself. That pride matters. It is fuel for the next habit. If this routine feels useful, share it with someone who has been joking about their memory but quietly worrying inside. Many seniors do not need another lecture. They need a practical starting point. Send them this idea and say, try it with me for 7 days. And if you want more clear, responsible, science-based brain health guidance for adults over 60, subscribe to this channel. We will continue discussing memory, focus, sleep, balance, blood pressure, movement, and the daily habits that support independence. Today we began with fear. The blank word, the forgotten name, the doorway moment when your mind goes empty. But I do not want you to leave with fear. I want you to leave with a chair, 1 minute, and a plan. Your brain is not asking for perfection. It is asking for engagement. Give it that engagement today. Give it again tomorrow. Keep the signal alive. I am Dr. Richard Kim. Take care of your extraordinary brain, and I will see you in the next video.